The warning that was ignored. The Galactic Council chamber was massive, filled with the most powerful beings in the known universe. Representatives from 100 different species sat in their grand seats, discussing trade, alliances, and war. At the center of the room stood a single human, the only representative from Earth. His name was Ambassador Elias Carter, and today he carried a message that would decide the future of the galaxy. Elias cleared his throat and spoke into the ancient hall. His voice was calm but firm. "The Terran Union brings a warning," he said. "A great danger is coming. If we do not prepare, we will all suffer." The alien leaders exchanged amused glances. A reptilian creature, Supreme Chancellor Varkal of the Zirian Dominion, leaned forward, his scales shimmering under the artificial lights. "Humans always bring such drama," he hissed. "What exactly do you fear, little Earthling?" Elias remained composed. "We intercepted distress signals from the outer rim. Entire colonies have gone silent. Something is wiping out entire worlds, and it moves fast." The room burst into laughter. A massive four-armed being from the Bracken Empire shook his head. "You expect us to believe that? The Terran Union has always been paranoid." A blue-skinned diplomat smirked. "Perhaps Earth has finally learned how dangerous space is. Maybe your colonies were simply too weak to survive." Elias felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his face blank. They were making a mistake, a deadly one. "Listen to me," he said, voice growing colder. "We are offering a chance to act before it's too late. If we unite now, we might stop what's coming." Chancellor Varkal sneered. "And if we refuse?" Elias didn't blink. "Then you will see why humanity does not give warnings twice." The council chamber went silent. For a brief moment, some of the leaders felt an unfamiliar emotion creeping into their minds. Doubt. But then the laughter started again. "Ah, humans, and their threats." The bearded alien chuckled. "You are nothing but a minor species. The great empires of the galaxy do not take orders from Earth." Elias exhaled slowly. He had expected this. "Very well," he said, adjusting his coat. "You have made your choice." He turned and walked out of the chamber, his boots echoing against the polished floor. No one tried to stop him, but they should have. The signs were already there. Across the outer colonies of the Galactic Federation, the silence had already begun. Starbases stopped responding. Entire mining worlds went dark overnight. Ships sent to investigate never returned. At first, the Council dismissed it as pirate activity, but when the largest trading route in the sector went completely offline, whispers of fear spread among the lower-ranked officials. Reports trickled in, horrifying descriptions of unknown ships, black as the void, appearing without warning. They moved like shadows, undetectable until it was too late. One fleet commander, before vanishing, had managed to send a desperate transmission. "They are not invaders. They are executioners. They do not speak. They do not negotiate. And they do not leave survivors." The message was ignored. Humanity's next move. On Earth, high above the blue oceans, the Terran defense fleet was already moving. Warships left their hidden shipyards, their engines glowing against the darkness of space. These were not the fragile vessels that the aliens believed humans had. These were the real ships, armored, advanced, and built for war. Inside the Terran High Command, General Marcus Hale watched as the final ships left orbit. He turned to his officers. "The Council ignored us," he said. "That was their last mistake." A younger officer hesitated. "Should we send another message, sir?" Hale shook his head. "No, we warned them once. Now we let them learn the hard way." The holographic map in front of them showed the galactic core, where the Council's capital planet lay in its golden light. In a few days, that light would dim. And for the first time in history, the galaxy would understand the true power of Earth. The silence before the storm. The stars above Earth shimmered as the Terran defense fleet slipped into the void. Each vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering, designed not for display, but for war. Their black hulls absorbed the light, making them nearly invisible against the abyss of space. General Marcus Hale stood aboard the TDS Valiant, staring at the galactic map. Red markers blinked on the outer edges, colonies that had gone silent. No distress signals, no survivors, just nothing. Behind him, Admiral Reynolds spoke in a hushed tone. "Do you think they even realize what's coming?" Hale didn't turn. "No, and that's why this will be easy." The bridge was silent. No cheers, no bravado. Humanity was no longer in the business of warnings. Now it was time for action. The Council's final mistake. Far from Earth, the Galactic Council continued its games. Inside the Grand Chamber, politicians and leaders feasted, their laughter echoing through the hall. The humans had left, their so-called warning dismissed as another attempt at grabbing attention. Supreme Chancellor Varkle swirled a glass of emerald liquid in his clawed hand. "The humans are amusing creatures," he chuckled. "Always making noise, always pretending to be more than they are." The room erupted in agreement. To them, Earth was nothing more than a backwater planet, useful, perhaps, but unworthy of true respect. Then the alarms sounded. A low, droning noise vibrated through the walls, cutting through the Council's celebrations like a knife. A Seldari aide stumbled into the chamber, his violet skin pale with fear. "As Supreme Chancellor, our outer defenses, they're gone." Varkle blinked. "Gone. Destroyed." The aide's voice trembled. "Every station, every ship. We lost contact 2 minutes ago." The room fell into stunned silence. The Galactic Council, which had ruled with absolute power for centuries, had never seen an attack like this. Varkle slammed his goblet down. "Who dares attack us?" The aide swallowed. It's them. Them. The humans. The Ghost Fleet arrives." At the edge of the galactic core, the Terran Ghost Fleet emerged from the darkness. No announcements, no warnings. They moved like shadows, slipping past outdated alien scanners. One by one, entire defense grids shut down before even detecting their presence. Elite alien commanders barely had time to react before their fleets turned into burning wreckage. On the bridge of the Valiant, the countdown reached 0. Engage. Across the sector, human warships unleashed destruction. They didn't aim for cities. They didn't bomb planets. Instead, they targeted communication hubs, fleet coordination centers, and strategic outposts. The Council wasn't just being attacked. It was being silenced. The galaxy realizes too late. In the capital world of the Galactic Council, panic erupted. Leaders scrambled to their ships, trying to flee. The same politicians who had laughed at humanity now begged for answers. One desperate commander tried to hail the Terran fleet. "We wish to negotiate." The transmission was cut. No response. Humanity had warned them once. Now, they were listening. And for the first time in history, the Galactic Council understood the cost of arrogance. The silence breaks. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Planets that once basked in the illusion of absolute security were now cut off. Dark and silent. No messages, no fleet orders, no supply requests. Nothing. On the capital world of Velfar Prime, Supreme Chancellor Varkle stood before a massive holo display. It showed the last known locations of the Council's greatest war fleets. Every single one had vanished. His claws dug into the armrest of his throne. How? His voice was barely a whisper. How is this possible? The answer came in the form of a single blinking transmission. A message from the Terran fleet. For the first time, humanity had decided to speak. The ultimatum. The Galactic Council's emergency chamber was filled with terrified rulers, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of fear. Some wanted to fight back. Others wanted to surrender before they even knew the terms. Then the lights flickered, and a voice, calm, steady, human, filled the room. "This is General Marcus Hale of the Terran Defense Command." The chamber fell silent. "We issued a warning. You ignored it. You dismissed us. You laughed." A holoscreen flickered to life, displaying the ruins of a council fleet, twisted wreckage floating through space. "You will listen now." Chancellor Varkle clenched his fists. "What do you want?" Hale's voice remained cold. "What we always wanted. Respect. Equality. No more interference in human affairs." Varkle scoffed. "You think you can hold the galaxy hostage? You're outnumbered." A brief pause. Then Hale responded, "We counted on that." The room tensed. "The question isn't whether we can hold the galaxy hostage," Hale continued. "The question is, are you willing to risk everything to find out?" Varkle's throat went dry. They weren't demanding surrender. They were demanding fear. And it was working. The betrayal. Deep beneath Velthar Prime, a secret meeting was taking place. Several alien leaders, once firm allies of the Council, now whispered among themselves. The humans struck without warning. They crippled the Council in mere hours. If we do not align with them, we may be next. The cracks in the Council's unity had begun to form. One by one, certain factions started pulling their forces away, not wanting to share the Council's fate. It had taken the humans one day to unravel centuries of political power. And they were just getting started. The galaxy holds its breath. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council did not know what to do. Varkle turned to his advisors. "Can we destroy them?" Silence. No one spoke. No one could. Because the truth was now terrifyingly clear. Humanity wasn't just strong. They were unpredictable, ruthless, unstoppable. And worst of all, they were watching. Humanity's next move, the Galactic Council's core world, Velthar Prime, had never known silence until now. The once bustling capital had become eerily quiet. No ships entered orbit. No messages came from their vast networks. The once mighty Council, which had ruled for centuries, was alone in the darkness. And then the second message arrived. A choice of survival. Supreme Chancellor Varkle stared at the transmission, his claws trembling. The Terran general's face remained as unreadable as before, calm, patient, as if he had already won. "Your fleets are scattered. Your allies are reconsidering their loyalties. You have two choices." The chamber held its breath. Acknowledge humanity as an equal, or watch the Council crumble. The statement wasn't shouted. It wasn't a demand. It was a fact. Varkle slammed his fist onto the table. "You expect us to kneel." Hale's expression didn't change. "No, I expect you to make a decision before it's made for you." And with that, the transmission ended. No threats. No countdown. Just a simple truth. Humanity had already won. The breaking point. Across the Council's territories, fear spread like wildfire. The once loyal fleets hesitated to act. High-ranking officials whispered in private meetings. The illusion of the Council's invincibility was shattered. The Seldari High Command, one of the Council's strongest military allies, was the first to break. Admiral Xalrock sat in his war room, reviewing intercepted data. Entire Council outposts had gone dark in minutes. Defense grids were bypassed like they didn't exist. And worst of all, no human fleet had even been detected before the attacks happened. He turned to his officers. "If the Council falls, we cannot afford to fall with them." The message was clear. The first faction had abandoned the Council. And soon, others would follow. The galaxy's unspoken fear. While the politicians panicked, another kind of conversation was spreading through the galaxy. In hidden bunkers, on distant colony worlds, and inside military bases, one question repeated over and over. How did humanity do this? It wasn't just their technology. It wasn't their weapons. It was their strategy. The way they dismantled an empire without firing a single shot at a capital city. Humanity didn't conquer. Humanity didn't beg. Humanity made the entire galaxy hesitate. And in war, hesitation was death. Varkel's last play. In the depths of Velthar Prime, Supreme Chancellor Varkel stood before his war council. His empire was crumbling, and he knew it. But there was one last card to play. "Summon the Dread Fleet," he growled. Gasps filled the chamber. The Dread Fleet was the Council's final weapon. Ships so powerful they had remained hidden for centuries, waiting for a true crisis. If humanity wanted a war, Varkel would give them one. His advisors hesitated. "Chancellor, are you certain?" Varkel's eyes burned with fury. "I will burn their homeworld to the ground." But deep down, in the coldest part of his mind, a terrifying thought crept in. What if this was exactly what the humans wanted? The Dread Fleet awakens. Deep within the void, in a sector of space unmarked on any official star charts, the Dread Fleet stirred. Massive warships, hidden away for centuries, powered up their engines. Their hulls, blacker than the abyss, reflected no light. Their weapons, forbidden by ancient treaties, hummed with the destructive force to shatter entire planets. Admiral Tor Vanek, commander of the Dread Fleet, stood on the bridge of the Oblivion Spear, his gaze fixed on the activation sequence. The fleet was ready. A transmission from Supreme Chancellor Varkel appeared before him. "Proceed to Earth." The order was clear. This was extermination. No negotiations, no second chances. The Terran race would be erased. The trap is set. But far away, in the cold darkness of space, humanity was watching. Deep within an underground command bunker, General Marcus Hale studied the data streaming in. Every single one of the Dread Fleet's ships had been detected. Their stealth wasn't perfect, not against humans. Beside him, an officer smirked. "They're coming straight into the kill zone." Hale nodded. "They think they're the hunters. They're wrong." The arrival at Earth. The Dread Fleet tore through hyperspace, emerging on the edge of the Sol system. Earth, a blue gem against the void, lay in the distance. Admiral Vanek allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Soon, it would burn. All ships, advance. The fleet moved forward, until something unexpected happened. The space around them shimmered. Sensors flickered. Asterisk distortions rippled across the void. Asterisk. Something was wrong. And then, without warning, Earth vanished. The ghost planet. Panic erupted across the Dread Fleet's command decks. Earth's signal had simply ceased to exist. No transmissions, no energy signatures, nothing. It was as if the entire planet had never been there at all. Admiral Vanek's eyes widened. What trickery is this? Then the alarms screamed. Thousands of human warships decloaked around them. But they weren't just waiting. They were already firing. The battle humanity prepared for. The first salvo shattered the Dread Fleet's vanguard. Explosions erupted in the void as Terran warships tore through the ancient vessels with ruthless precision. Their weapons weren't just advanced. They were designed specifically for this moment. Plasma beams burned through shields as if they weren't even there. Kinetic slugs, moving at near-light speeds, ripped dreadnoughts apart. And then, the true horror began. The Dread Fleet's commanders tried to issue retreat orders, but the humans had already disabled their engines. The horror of total defeat. Admiral Vanek watched in stunned disbelief. This wasn't a battle. This was execution. Humanity had known. They had known all along. They hadn't just been waiting for the Dread Fleet. They had been preparing for it. And now, there was no escape. One by one, the mighty dreadnoughts, ships that had once been the Council's ultimate power, were reduced to burning wrecks. As Vanek's ship was surrounded, a final transmission arrived on his screen. General Hale's face appeared. Calm, cold, victorious. Checkmate. And then the Oblivion Spear exploded. The Dread Fleet was no more. The galaxy watches in terror. Across the stars, every major faction received the same broadcast. Footage of the battle. the destruction, the helplessness of the Dread Fleet, and the final chilling message: humanity does not seek war. But if war comes to us, we will end it before it begins. For the first time in history, the galaxy truly understood. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The Council's desperate gamble. The destruction of the Dread Fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For centuries, the Galactic Council had been the ultimate authority. Their judgment was law, their military unmatched. Until now. Now, every species in the universe had seen the impossible. The invincible Dread Fleet, destroyed. Humanity, unstoppable. In the council chambers, Supreme Chancellor Varkle stood before a gathering of trembling diplomats. Fear was thick in the air. "We cannot allow this," he declared. "Humanity must be contained before they conquer us all." But no one answered, because deep down, they knew the truth. Humanity had never started this war. The Council had. And now, they were the ones begging for survival. The impossible plan. Despite their fear, the Council refused to accept defeat. A secret meeting was called. Within a hidden chamber, the last remaining leaders of the great powers whispered among themselves. "If brute force won't work, then we must turn to deception. We need a weapon they won't expect." It was then that High Strategist Kelvar spoke. The Leviathan Project. A silence fell over the room. The Leviathan Project was an abandoned experiment, considered too dangerous even by the Council's standards. But now, desperation outweighed caution. Activated, a new nightmare awakens. Deep beneath the surface of a dead world, an ancient vault rumbled to life. Inside, something stirred. A machine, a weapon, a nightmare. It had no name, only a designation. Leviathan PRO2FOCOL, Phase 1. The Council had built it centuries ago, a last resort against an unknown enemy. A war machine with only one directive: absolute annihilation. Now, it would be turned against humanity. Humanity's next move. Back on Earth, General Marcus Hale stood in front of a war map, surrounded by his top strategists. Reports flooded in from every sector. The Council was silent. Too silent. "They're planning something," Hale muttered. "We crushed their fleet, but they haven't surrendered." An officer stepped forward. "Sir, we intercepted a transmission. Something about Leviathan." The room fell silent. Hale's expression darkened. He had read the old files. Leviathan wasn't just a weapon. It was a force of destruction so great that even its creators had feared it. If the Council had reactivated it, then humanity was about to face its greatest battle yet. Humanity's last stand. The Leviathan moved. Not like a ship, not like a fleet, like a force of nature. The war machine was over 50 kilometers long, a black mass of shifting metal, bristling with weapons no species had ever dared to use. It consumed energy like a dying star and moved with an eerie, unnatural grace. Its creators had feared it. Now, it was hunting Earth. The message that shook the galaxy. The Galactic Council sent out a final transmission. Surrender. Bow to our rule. Or be erased. Across the universe, species held their breath. Humanity had won before, but this was something else. No civilization had ever survived a Leviathan assault. Entire planets had been erased from existence the last time it was activated. Not even dust remained. Everyone waited for Earth's reply. Then, humanity answered. A single message, a simple declaration. "Come and try." The final battle begins. Human fleets were already in motion. Every warship, every experimental weapon, every soldier prepared for the impossible. But nothing could have prepared them for what they saw. When the Leviathan emerged from hyperspace, the sun itself seemed to dim. A living fortress. It moved without engines. It fired without weapons. It was a technological horror beyond understanding. Admiral Elaine Carter, the highest-ranking officer in the fleet, whispered into the comms. "Engage." Humanity struck first. Planet-cracking cannons, swarms of AI-controlled missiles, EMP blasts designed to disable entire fleets. None of it mattered. Leviathan adapted. For every missile, it countered. For every laser, it reshaped its armor. For every strategy, it learned. And then it fired back. A single blast. Half the fleet gone. The gamble that changed everything. On Earth, General Marcus Hale stood in the command center, watching the battle unfold. "We can't win this in a straight fight," he muttered. His mind raced. The Council had built Leviathan to be indestructible, but everything had a weakness. Then it hit him. Leviathan wasn't a ship. It was a system, a mind, a program. Which meant it could be hacked. The final play. Earth's best cyber warfare teams worked in silence, fingers flying over keyboards as they prepared the deadliest virus ever created. A virus designed not to destroy, but to confuse, to turn Leviathan against itself. The virus was ready. The window was small. They had one chance. Admiral Carter knew what she had to do. She took her fleet and charged Leviathan head-on. A suicide run. Every ship firing. Every soldier giving everything. All to buy a few more seconds. The virus was launched. It hit Leviathan's core. And for the first time in its existence, it hesitated. A glitch. A stutter. Then, chaos. Leviathan turned on itself. Weapons fired at nothing. Systems collapsed. It tore itself apart from the inside. A machine designed to destroy civilizations. Destroyed by human ingenuity. The aftermath. The Galactic Council watched in horrified silence. Their greatest weapon, their ultimate gamble, gone. They had thrown everything at humanity. And lost. The universe had changed. Forever. A final message was sent to Earth. We surrender. Humanity had been ignored, then feared, then hunted. Now, they ruled.